The Minnesota Wild Podcast is presented exclusively by Acrosure.
From the pond to the pros, it's time for Beyond the Pond on The Fan. Here are your hosts, Pat Micheletti and Kevin Falness.
Let's talk hockey!
Welcome to another Saturday morning on KFAN. It is time for Beyond the Pond. My name's Kevin Falness, along with Pat Micheletti. Behind the glass, we've got the great Brett Blakemore, and it's time to talk a couple of hours of hockey, including for your Golden Gophers. We're going to go to Steve Miller here in a second, Patrick. But what happened last night on the U of M campus?
It was a clunker. I don't know what else to say other than that. It was not a good night in any facet. However, their power play remained red hot, 2 for 2 with the only 2 goals. But that was the lone bright spot for the Gophers last night. So,
heck of a lead-in for Steve Miller, associate head coach for the Golden Gophers. Joins us now from the U of M campus, I assume. Steve, that's Pat. I'm Kevin. Good morning. Welcome to Beyond the Pond.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Yeah, double clunker. Clunker.
Yeah.
So you echo what Pat says. A 6-2 loss there to the Buckeyes. Tough.
They're a team that they're very difficult to play against because they always have numbers back, and they forecheck hard. And whether it be us trying to get out of our zone clean or getting the puck out of our zone with a possession or on the rush, we turned too many pucks over, and they dictated the pace of the game. And as much as we dictated the pace last week against Wisconsin, we couldn't get our traction going last night, and disappointing to say the least because we know last weekend we got pucks deep against Wisconsin. We forechecked hard. We got out of our zone for the most part, and we put ourselves in a great position to do really good things last weekend. And unfortunately, too many turnovers.
Yeah, and let's give credit to Ohio State. They played a heck of a game. They were great in their own end. They never got outnumbered. As you said, their forecheck was good, and for a team that has been struggling to score, they put 6 on the board last night, and the good thing is you got an opportunity tonight to get back on the horse and get going again. But, it just seemed, Steve, that it was, you just couldn't get any rhythm going, and get to your game. It was, and again, I, for as much as you guys didn't play as well, you got to give credit to Ohio State.
Oh yeah. First and foremost, always the credit to the team you play against. And again, last week, when we talked about them, we just, last week against Michigan in 2 games, they gave up 48 shots.
Yeah.
Michigan last week on Saturday's game, they're winning 1-0 going to the third period in Columbus, and they have 8 shots on goal. So, again, you have to get pucks deep against this team. They have numbers back.
Yep.
And that, and that's the thing we've been focusing on with the guys the second half is establishing our forecheck, getting out of our zone, getting pucks deep. And again, it all came together last weekend against Wisconsin. It was a huge step forward for us. And unfortunately, we took 2 steps back last night. And now we have the next challenge in front of us. We got to get pucks deep. We got to get out of our zone. And we got to get ready. And another point to add on last night's game is, I looked at the metrics afterwards. Our loose puck battles, we didn't come up with any loose pucks last night. Anything that scrummed out on the wall, whether it be in the D zone or their O zone or the neutral zone, they came up with a majority of those pucks.
Yeah.
We need to have that kind of mentality, and we had it last week, and unfortunately last night we didn't.
Is this something, because I know every team does, you watch film all the time and stuff, but is this more of the guys know, and you just have to, get back to that mentality? Or, do you go over stuff on the film today, for example?
Yeah, we'll watch stuff on the film today about, losing puck battles in these critical areas of the ice, of turnovers. There's times when, me and Pat, you and me are racing for a puck I've got it on my stick for a tenth of a second, and you've made contact on me, and you caused a turnover.
Yep.
I mean, that's hockey.
Yes.
We're talking about, I'm coming through the neutral zone. You're angling. You're forward angling me. I'm getting to the red line, and then I try to play through you. I call those unforced errors. The next play is for me to get the puck deep. Or if I'm breaking the puck out, and all of a sudden you're forward angling me, and there's no room, no time, no space. It's off the glass and out. You know what I mean? Those I call those unforced errors when those pucks turn over. When
Sure.
you have time and space, maybe not as much time as you want or space, but you've got to make that next critical play. And last night we had too many unforced errors against a team that, again, has numbers back the entire night. You know what I mean? They always have numbers back. They're protecting their goaltending, which, again, I know you got to be able to get to their D in goaltending. And when you can't get out of your own zone, and you can't get a forecheck established, and you don't get pucks deep, I mean, you're not going to be able to put any pressure on the other team's defensemen and goaltending.
Talking to Steve
Because they have a very good group of forwards who are their forwards are very good.
Yeah.
They're tenacious. They reload as good as any team we play against. They get back. They help their D. And, and again, we gotta be ready. And we thought we were ready last night. We thought we had a real good week of practice, just like we did going against the Wisconsin game. Just like the second half of the year, we've been in a lot of games, and we haven't been able to make the next play.
Yeah.
And last week we did make the next play. And now here's the challenge in front of us again for tonight.
Talking to Steve Miller, associate head coach for the University of Minnesota. He called it a double clunker last night, a 6-2 loss to the Buckeyes. But like you said, you get a rematch tonight, 8 o'clock there on the U of M campus, available on your radio dial through Wally Shaver on Twin Cities News Talk, 103.5 FM and AM 1130. I don't get a chance to talk to you guys all that much, Steve, and I've been watching from afar. And a guy that's grabbed my eyeballs, amongst others, and maybe take last night out of the equation, but I think the full season has been pretty good for Eric Paulson. Can you talk about how he's continued to develop and become a great player for your squad?
Well, I think, obviously you had the little mishap there. Not mishap, the injury at the Ohio State series. They had to fight back. He's come back from that. He's got an extra pep in his step. And again, he's great at controlling the middle of the rink. He's got great puck poise, makes great puck decisions. He's out, and he's a really, he's an underrated defender of, being able to play defense and get pucks back for us. But it's really, it's been a big part of us being, getting better was getting him back in the lineup. Because, again, he's a center who can control the game, and, that's a great observation, Kevin.
You've got a ton of international experience, and I know that it didn't end the way you wanted to in the World Juniors here at the beginning of the year, but what was that like having it here on home soil, and how excited are you? I'm sitting here watching the U.S. team, the women's team, take on Finland. It's 1-0 early in this contest. Olympic hockey's back on the docket here. It takes every 4 years, but we finally get to see it. How excited are you to see the international hockey back at it?
Well, there's nothing better, best on best. Been fortunate to be part of it here with the World Junior experience the last 9 years. There's no better experience. It's so cool. It's hockey in its purest form because the retaliatory penalty might end your tournament. So I think it's so neat to watch, and it seems like they got the rink situation all figured out. We had the Olympics on this morning when I got up. We were watching the ski, coming down the freestyle stuff. We were watching that. I can't wait to see Team USA play and all the other teams play. Sweden, Finland. I mean, great teams. Canada, obviously, and see how it shakes out on both sides, men's and women's.
Should be a blast. Steve, good luck tonight. Great season so far. Keep it going, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks, Kevin. I apprioate it.
Yep. Thanks, Killer.
Steve Miller,
yep,
killer.
Guys. Yep, bye.
Associate head coach there for the University of Minnesota. Obviously,
very
a tough
honest.
night.
Yeah, yep. And very, very, very honest.
And he echoed what you said. You said it was a clunker. He said it was a double clunker.
Yeah, it just they couldn't get going, and it was disappointing in the fact that, I mean, they played so well last weekend, and they didn't turn pucks over. Their D were engaged. They were hitting. They were getting in on the forecheck. The passing was clean, and just none of that happened last night. And they know it. And it's one of those, Kevin, on air. I grabbed a piece of paper, crumpled it up, and just said, "Here's what you look at going into tomorrow night." You throw it away and forget about it. And the guys know that. And I'm sure they're disappointed and will be they'll be ready to play tonight.
It's too bad because I did listen to a little bit of Bob Motzko this weekend, and especially coming off of the game last week where they felt really good about themselves. Coming off that sweep, I know it's been a tough season, but the weekend sweep of Wisconsin, he's saying, have we turned the corner? Question mark. Can we build traction off of this? Question mark. Yep. This was not the first good crack after such a wonderful weekend last week. And
here's the thing. They put themselves in a position to potentially, at one point they were completely out, in my opinion, of getting home ice. Well, that sweep last weekend put them 1 point behind the Badgers, who are currently in fourth place and have home ice. And so they put themselves in a position where, they could catch them. And Wisconsin wins in overtime at home against Notre Dame last night. They get 2 points. The Gophers get nothing. Now they're 4 points behind them. And, Minnesota ends the season with Michigan State, which is going to be tough. They're number 1 and 2 in the country and going to be tough. So it was really important to accumulate these points this week and then next weekend at Notre Dame and hopefully Wisconsin loses one down the road. That didn't happen. No, it's going to be a lot tougher.
Yeah, we'll see how that progresses. A good show coming up here over the next 2 hours. We got Rico Blasi joining us from St. Thomas. Talk a little Tommy's hockey. All they do is win here lately. Did stub their toe last week in a split, but got another victory last night, an overtime win. So we'll talk about that on the road there with Rico Blasi. We've got Dan Brooks coming up at 11 o'clock. So I'll shift our focus over to Olympic hockey and what he remembers about the 1980 Olympic team. And I'm sure he's very excited about the possibilities of getting another gold here for the Americans for the first time since 1980. We got Tony Scott and our youth hockey update, plus Brett Blakemore's breakaways. Plenty of opportunity, too, when we get to the bottom of the hour to talk a little Minnesota Wild and what's going on with them going into the break. There's not a lot going on with them right now. That will be fun to watch, but there's no Olympic hockey even until the 12th. We got to wait till Thursday other than the women. And like I said, early on against Finland, they're up 1-0 with about a minute left to go in the first period, out shooting the Finns 14-4. So that's something to keep an eye on. While we got an opportunity here before we go to Rico, let's look at the out-of-town scoreboard in college hockey. Last night, Scott Sandlin, a big overtime win at Amsoil Arena. They take out North Dakota.
Yeah, they're coming off. I don't know if they've played well or not played well, but they've put together a string of losses. So that was a big win for them last night against North Dakota.
And anytime you can take down UND, you do that with a big old smile on your face. St. Cloud State also a victory last night on the road at Mullet Arena. They beat Arizona State 4-1. Good job by Brett Miller and company.
Tough loss for the guys last night. We thought we were in it for the first couple periods, but then it got away from us in the third. So got to get the second one tonight.
On Arizona State, seriously, Brett, that's a pretty good hockey team that has been ravaged by injuries.
Mm-hmm.
The Potter.
They lose Potter.
Yeah, they lose Potter, number 1 pick of the Calgary Flames. Lose him. Then they lost another guy who actually played on a Friday night, and on Sunday he was gone. He left the team. Very strange. He didn't play. Actually played Friday night, scored a goal, was a healthy scratch Saturday, so something happened. Sunday, he was off the team and back in the Western League. So
interesting. All right.
Also, Minnesota Wild draft pick Kipke, the defenseman as well.
Yeah,
so
he's a good player.
To watch him.
Yeah, good player.
Also in the NCHC of note, how about DU and Colorado College skating to a 2-2 tie? So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
DU didn't suffer a loss, but still.
It's called the Gold Pan Cup between those two, and it doesn't matter if one's in last place or first place. They're always good games. And who won the shootout? Do you know? Does it say?
It doesn't say here, but I'll find that out here when I can click on it. Meanwhile, over in the CCHA, we're going to talk to Rico Blasi here in a matter of moments. They got an overtime win at Bowling Green, so another good victory for St. Thomas. Bemidji State doubled up at home, 6-3 by Ferris State. Augustana falls in overtime to Michigan Tech. That's in the CCHA. Looking quickly over to the Big Ten. Told you about the Golden Gophers not doing so well against Ohio State last night. They fell 6-2. Wisconsin, you mentioned the overtime win at home against Notre Dame. 6-5 was the final in that one. And how about Michigan beating Michigan State 4-3 in overtime? That was a battle of the top two teams in the country.
Yeah, they both those teams are just excellent and two different type of teams. I look at Michigan State and they're kind of the Finland. If you were to look at them, they can be down 2-1, up 2-1, up 3-1. Doesn't matter. They play the same way the whole time. Michigan has got some explosive players on their team, fast team, deep team. So those two teams are going to battle for 1 and 2 in the Big Ten.
Outstanding. That gets you a look at the out-of-town scoreboard in college hockey. When we continue, we'll keep the college hockey talk going. We got Rico Blasi, Tommy's head coach, next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Kevin Gorg, and I'll give you hundreds of reasons to listen to Micheletti.
Whoa.
Good, hundreds. It's Beyond the Pond on the Fan.
Beyond the Pond continues. Kevin Falness and Pat Micheletti with you. Time to now go on the road to check in with Rico Blasi, head coach of the St. Thomas Tommies, coming off a victory last night, and all they do here lately, for the most part, is win.
They are the hottest team in college hockey. Won 12 of their last 13. Probably should have won last Saturday, unless I'm missing something. Rico, unbelievable run that you guys are on.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing?
Good. How are you? Well, you're great. I would assume, right?
Well, we got to stay focused and try to take it one day at a time. The old cliches, but really proud of the boys and the way they're playing and sticking together. Making sure that we're true to our identity and playing for each other, which is the most important thing.
Pat talked about the streak, but let's talk in particular about last night on the road at Bowling Green. You get the 3-2 overtime victory. I didn't see it. Recap it for us if you could.
Yeah, really tough building to play in, hostile environment. BG fans are really loud. Great building to play in. Things happen pretty quick. So, a couple power play goals, and then it goes into overtime where anything can happen. But real nice play by Nick Williams to finish it off, and we'll take it.
Hey, Rico, there's one guy I want to talk about because I don't know if he gets enough accolades or whatever. But Lucas Wallen, I mean, can you talk about his story, where he started, and where he has gotten to, and just every time I watch him, and what a leader that this kid is. But I'll let you talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk for an hour or two about Lucas. I'll give you the short version. He started his junior career in NA3, worked his way to NA, then to the USHL, and then, to St. Thomas. And every step of the way, Lucas is just he's one of those guys that always finds a way to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a really good motor. He's got a knack for the front of the net. He never gives up on pucks. His second and third effort are incredible. When we were recruiting our first class, which he's a part of, we had an identity that we were trying to recruit to. And when we watched Lucas play, there was no doubt that that's what we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we were going to build our program around. And he's been everything that we thought he would be and more. And then we gave him the captaincy his sophomore year, and he's just grown and matured and taken it to another level. The conversations he and I have today from 2 years ago are totally at another level. So I can't say enough good things about him. He's our driver. He drives the bus every night, every day in practice. He leads on and off the ice. He's a, unbelievable student in the classroom, and we're happy he's with us here for next month, hopefully, and then we wish him the best of luck after that.
the reigning CCHA Player of the Month, 18 goals, 31 points in 26 games, playing for a St. Tommy's team that's red hot, like Pat illustrated. Just had that 11-game win streak stopped last weekend in a split with Michigan Tech, but they rebounded this week with a victory last night at Bowling Green, a 15-4-2 conference record. 18-8-3 overall. You mentioned your conversations with him have changed since he came on campus. How have things changed for you? You remember how things began, a 3-32-1 record in year number one, and I'm sure you had your eyes on the prize at how this program would develop. But I mean, it's only been 5 years, Rico. Has this been accelerated faster than you even expected?
Well, if you ask any coach, you want it to happen right away. But we knew there was a process that we had to go through. And in recruiting, obviously, we didn't have a building at the time. We didn't have a lot of things at the time. We inherited a Division III team. We sprinkled in a couple of Division I guys that first year. And really, it was, just about learning what we wanted and how we wanted to play, and then go out and try to find it and recruit guys that wanted to be at St. Thomas. And then every year it's just kind of grown from there. And then the announcement a couple of years ago of getting the new building started to help. And then, things have kind of been on the way up ever since. And, we have some great supporters at St. Thomas. Obviously, Lee and Penny Anderson are big, huge supporters of what we do. We have some really good hockey alums that have been with us right from the get-go. And then in our administration, from President Vischer to Director of Athletics Phil Eston, right down the line, everybody's been really supportive and allows us to do what we do.
All right, you've won 12 of 13, and you guys are really on a roll. The confidence is high, but you as a coach, coaches always, there's always something that you can work on to even get better. What would be like one or two things that you're looking to improve on with your team as you move forward?
Well, to me, it's, we're not going to get into the system stuff, but for me as the head coach, it's just making sure these guys are grounded and understanding that part of our culture is to just not take things for granted and play every day, every practice, every game. I know it's cliche and everybody says it, but you got to get to that point in order for you to be a successful team at this level. And you really can't worry about what happened last night. And now we're getting into the crunch time where, you may be down in a game or you may be up in a game, and you got to continue to play the same way. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself on the wrong side. So,
sure.
Being focused and true to our identity, that's the thing those are the things that I harp on the most as the head coach. All the detail stuff, guys know that. We work on that every day. We watch video. That stuff is for them to make sure that they're ready to go and they have an understanding of what they're going to see tonight or the things that we want to maybe try to exploit for against the other team. But the overall picture is to be here today, not take things for granted, and just play the game the right way.
I just want to clarify on a personal note. You and I, we have some conversations. I just want to clarify. Do you owe me a steak dinner, or is it the other way around? I think you owe me one. Am I correct on that, or no?
Now I owe you one because you won what?
Well, you were supposed to host the championship game last year, but you didn't. You went on the road.
All right, so I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
All right. Yeah. I just wanted to refresh your memory on that.
There you go.
But that's all right. You'll get to me, right? I mean, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Good stuff. Hey, Rico, thanks for doing this. You're a good sport, too, dealing with Patrick, and we look forward to seeing what happens tonight. We'll recap the rematch at 5:07 tonight, Game 2 at Bowling Green. Good luck.
All the best, Rico.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
There he is, Rico Blasi. Like I said, it goes without saying, with that first year, 3-32-1, and it looks like, man, how are they ever going to dig themselves out of this hole? Well, he's done it, and
he's done a great job.
In my mind, 5 years is a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And he's able to pull it off. They're are ranked, I think last I saw, 15th in the country, and they're the number one team in the CCHA.
You know, he did the same thing at Miami of Ohio. Are we calling it Miami of Ohio or just
Sure.
Miami, whatever?
Yeah.
Where he coached for a number of years and brought that program to, you know, they were this close, you can see my fingers, from winning a national championship there and fell short against Boston University. But it's done a great job. And that program is, you know, we talked about it when they first came in, that it is a, you know, could be a gold mine. And,
for sure.
And
it has been.
Now they have the building and, so good for them.
Yep,
good
for
them.
sure. Congrats to Rico Blasi and the University of St. Thomas. A lot of college hockey in the first half hour, so when we continue, we'll move over to the National Hockey League, mostly the Minnesota Wild, but also we can preview a little bit about what's going on in the Olympics. We got to wait till Thursday till they hit the ice, at least on the men's side. As we said, they're between periods. The women's Olympic team for the Americans going up against Finland. The U.S. is up 1-0, I believe, after one period of play. But we can talk about anything Olympics, Minnesota
Wild. Who are they going to trade for?
National Hockey League. Let's get into that. Text us 64686. You can also leave us one of those talkbacks on the free iHeartRadio app. Everything's on the table for the next half hour on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild Captain Jared Spurgeon, and you're listening to Falness and Micheletti on Beyond the Pond.
In the extra session, Kirill Kaprizov, 14 career overtime winners, as I mentioned earlier, 4 of them this year. They'll try it. Up ice passes Boldy, darting in. Boldy cross ice. Spurgeon a shot. He scores! Jared Spurgeon wins it in overtime. 9th overtime win of the year for the Wild. 5 straight in the win column as they hit the Olympic break as the captain beats Soros. It's 6-5. The victory tonight for Minnesota.
That was very nice. Can I make a bold prediction?
Here we go. Yes, you can.
I mean, this is bold.
Okay, I'm listening.
I think the Wild are going to trade for Steve Stamkos.
Oh my gosh.
He will be in a Wild uniform after the break. When they can.
That is a bold prediction. I have not.
What do you think, Jack?
I have not heard that one floated around. Would you be okay with Steven Stamkos, Brett Blakemore from Brett Blakemore's Breakaways?
I mean, he certainly looks spry against the Wild.
He's got almost 30 goals on the season.
He does.
He's got 27. He scored his 27th against the Wild, or 28 now. 28 goals on the year for Steven Stamkos, who last year I thought was ready to hang him up.
And here's my logic on it. I think if he gets traded to a team that has a potential to win the cup, he's had a great year this year, right? And I agree with you. Last year I thought, oh boy, he's done.
Him and Marcia Show. Bleh.
He's big.
Last year.
He's big. He can skate. And, that shot off the flank, as we've seen many times against the Wild, boy, I think he would look great in this, and I think he would be so fired up.
Here's the fly in your ointment. I don't think, money's one thing, but I don't think Nashville's going to do anything right now. They've got something going.
I can wait till the deadline.
Okay.
When they're out.
If they do fall out, right now they're knocking on the door. It is, I think, March 6th. March 6th. There's a roster freeze until the end of this Olympic stuff, 22nd.
Yep.
And then you can make moves. Roster freeze deadline until February 22nd. And then the trade deadline is March 6th. Steven Stamkos would definitely be interesting.
So you got Hartman, Stamkos, and Kaprizov on your top line.
Nope. That's not your top line. You're going to have Kaprizov and Zuccarello together, and now you're finding someone for that middle position. It's not
Hartman. Well, move Stamkos to the middle. He can play in the middle. But, no, I would Hartman, Kaprizov, and Stamkos together.
Be pretty impressive. I'm trying to think of how that would work from a salary cap standpoint.
Well, they'd have to retain because they would have to retain.
Yeah.
So you move your guy JoJo to the third line.
The second line does. I think the second line does not get jacked with in any way, shape, or form.
So now Zuccarello's on the third line.
So
according to his,
that's okay. Who cares?
Yeah. Well,
maybe that's your depth too. Okay. All of a sudden, who do you got on the third line? Zuccarello.
probably Urov, and maybe Trenyan, Foligno, Hartman. It could be unless you're having him as your top line center.
That, like Trenyan, Urov, and Zuccarello.
Yeah. Pretty impressive stuff.
Where's the depth? Right there's your depth.
What do you think of how the Wild went into we're talking about Stamkos, the track meet they got into with the Nashville Predators. Yep. I thought after one period of play they were going to blow them out of the water.
Yes.
Boldy had a hat trick 13 minutes into the hockey game. The Wild are up 3-1. It ends up being the nail-biter right down to the very end, and then you heard Joe O'Donnell describe the overtime winner by the captain, Jared Spurgeon. Wild get the victory and have won 5 straight into the Olympic break.
Yeah, and you know, every game is different, right? You have tight games, you have not so tight games, and then you have those loose ones like they had against Nashville the other night. If you can prove you can win in all of those types of situations, hey, that's a sign of a really, really good team. And Minnesota did that. Boldy 3 in the first, right? And you're thinking, oh, this game, it's in the bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't, but they didn't. They stayed with it and found that way to win. And that's what they've been doing. And, they give up 5. And do you look at your goaltender and say, oh, boy, you had a terrible night? No, you don't. It was just the way that game happened to be played out. And so it was just a feel-good win for them heading into the break.
Yeah, and I think for the fans, that was a heck of a hockey game to sit through,
too.
I thought they were going to blow them out. When it was 3-1, middle of the first period, and Matt Boldy has a hat trick, I'm thinking, shades of Marian Gaborik, is he going to score 5 tonight? And it ended up being a heck of a hockey game, back and forth all the way through, and they figure out a way in the final game before the Olympic break, where everyone's thinking about either going to Milan or to somewhere warm, they figured out a way to get it done, and that's the most important point, and now they sit firmly in position to second place in the Central Division, second place in the Western Conference, 34 wins, 78 points, and like I said, have won 5 in a row into the break.
How about Boldy? I mean, we talk about, Celebrini and McDavid and McKinnon and
Kaprizov. He's getting
Kaprizov,
in that, into that territory.
In that heart, But what about Boldy? I mean, I don't want to say he's carried this team, but just his aura and it just looks like, how this team go, how Matt Boldy goes, this team goes. He's just been fabulous.
Matt Boldy into the break, a 7-game point streak. He's got 5 goals in the last 6 games, 12 points over that span as well. Delivers his 4th career hat trick, 4 points in the win over the Nashville Predators. You've posed a hypothetical to me off the air. I'm going to give one to you. I don't even know where I heard it on one of those podcasts or something, but it was a hypothetical in regards to Matt Boldy. You're starting and I'll throw this to both of you. You're starting a team today, and you can pick one of these players to build around. Yeah. Do you pick Matt Boldy or Kirill Kaprizov?
I am not slow. I'm getting closer and closer to saying Boldy. I really am, just because
I know it's a hell of a hypothetical.
He just something about him when he's on the ice. It is scary.
Mm-hmm.
For the other teams. I should say not scary in terms of Boldy's out there, but he's really matured and really he's a man now, and he is just the way he does everything on the ice has been so impressive.
Tied for the team lead, him and Kaprizov, each with 32 goals this season. Another hypothetical I thought of in the 2019 draft. Of course, the Wild picked Boldy number 1 overall, and a few picks late. Not number 1 overall. He was their first round pick. I think 12th overall, like 15th overall, went to Montreal and Cole Caulfield. At the time, a lot of people said, I don't know about that. If you could redo that draft, do you still take Matt Boldy, or do you lean towards Cole Caulfield, who also has 32 goals this season?
Well, I'll answer this.
We know Bill Guerin's answer to that, judging by Team USA's roster.
Well, yeah, I'll answer it that way. I think, here's how I'll answer it. That also, Brett, but also I'm going to go a little higher. I think Matt Boldy will be the go-to guy for Team USA in the Olympics.
I think you're right.
And you're talking a lot of really good players on that team, but I think he's going to be on that top line, and I think he'll be one of the guys that Team USA will be counting on to lead the way.
Brett, if you could build a team around either Kaprizov or Boldy right now, which one would you pick?
Starting right now?
Yes. Today.
You have to think about the age and take that. I think Kaprizov is going to have a higher ceiling than Boldy will. But if you're going to go...
Oh, you mean the opposite, right? You mean the opposite because of age.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Kaprizov is older. So
right.
If you're going to build off someone for the future, then there's an argument to be made for Boldy. I think Kaprizov is overall a better player and has a higher ceiling than Boldy. But, I mean, we're talking... What a great problem to have, these two great players that we have on this team.
How preposterous this question would have been 6 months ago. Coming into the year, I mean, Boldy's been a great player, but he hasn't been consistent. This year,
elevated to
he's
an elite superstar.
Consistent.
He's a superstar. He's an elite superstar. He's in that category as one of the best players in the league.
Where do you see him fitting in the lineup for Team USA? He's obviously going to be a focal point.
I think he's going to play with Jack Eichel.
With Eichel.
Yeah, I do.
The line combinations I saw,
nice.
that'd be great.
Eichel and Brady Tkachuk.
What if we saw that 82 times?
Yes, I get it. Right. So I know. Brady, Eichel, and Boldy on the top line. Matthew Tkachuk gets thrown down a little ways.
No,
Probably
I want
the second line.
Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk, Eichel, and Matt Boldy.
Yeah,
that's your top line.
You try to defend that.
Yeah, well,
oh, my gosh.
Well, I mean, I was looking at the odds, and I know Canada's the favorite. The U.S. is right on their heels. I mean, I know it's not going to be easy because you get into the single elimination tournaments, and anything can happen. But, I mean, honestly, is this not the U.S.'s best chance at winning a gold since 1980? I guess in 2010 it was pretty good, too, when they came one goal away.
I think this team is... just after their performance in the Four Nations, where you lose in overtime and it's one shot, and really the U.S. If Binnington doesn't make that great save on Matthews, we're looking at the U.S. pretty good favorites to win the gold this time, in the Olympics.
And the other thing that they have going for them is their goaltending is elite. I was looking if Russia was in this tournament, they'd have a power pack lineup.
Oh, my God.
But can you imagine their goaltending? They'd have four potentials. One of them would have to be out. Think about this. Vasilevsky, Sorokin, Shesterkin, and Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
One of those have to be left out. What three are you taking? And who's your starter?
I can't even answer.
Can you imagine?
No, because they're all number
that's
ones.
Their goaltending. 100%. Vasilevsky's done it for 30 years, it feels like. They would
get rid of the young kid, Sorokin. They'd probably cut him.
You think so?
Yeah, but he's been so freaking good.
Yeah.
It's too bad Russia acts the way they do, or else they'd be in it.
It's on a global stage. It has very little to do with hockey.
Right.
It's too bad from a selfish standpoint. You're never going to see Alex Ovechkin again in the playoffs. I mean, he doesn't age, but he's not going to be there in 4 years. But I was looking at the top line. It would probably be Kucherov, Malkin, and Kaprizov.
Yeah.
That's probably your top line. That's your top line. And then with that goaltending, they'd have the best goaltending in the tournament.
Who's the kid from Vegas who's just lighting it up?
Dorofeev?
Dorofeev? Yeah. Whatever you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And then you have Barbashev they're
Think
so
about
good.
that lineup.
Yeah.
The other projection I saw that Yurov would probably be in it. That's the one thing they lack is center ice depth, and they would probably need Yurov in that lineup. Man, it's amazing to think about because I wonder where they would
Montreal.
be in the Sergachev would probably be on your blue line.
Oh my gosh, is he good too?
It'd be amazing to see. Right now, it's Canada, the U.S., the odds makers, and then it's like Sweden and Finland. Those are your top four.
Remember, I told you, watch out for Finland.
Always watch out for Finland.
Yes, always.
Sweden's going to be, and I'll tell you another dark horse: Germany. With you got Draisaitl, you've got some.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Well,
don't say it.
I like him as a player better than you do.
Don't say it.
I like Nico Sturm, and he's going to be in the middle of that lineup.
Now, then okay.
By the way, going back to Boldy, the projected lines from NHL.com, we still don't have an official practice.
Yep.
But they're assuming that Jack Hughes is, at least, they're not considering him in this. They have him as an extra just because of the recent injury scare. Eichel centering both Kachucks.
Yep.
Yeah, which I hate.
Why? Talk about a sandpaper line.
You don't need Jack Eichel's a freaking superstar. He needs to dish. The
other two are pretty good too. Are you kidding me? 1.65, the other one's 6'3".
Is not a scorer. He'd be there probably. But no, I think if you're looking for a lot, Boldy's got to be with Eichel. Boldy automatically has to be with Eichel, and Brady Tkachuk on the other side. Continue
your projected lines.
Second line.
Go ahead.
Austin Matthews centering Clayton Keller and Jake Gensel.
I'm not a fan of that line. I don't know if Clayton Keller will see a lot of ice time in the tournament.
Your
Go ahead.
Third line is finally Tage Thompson centering Matt Boldy and Kyle Connor. That's a sneaky little line.
I like that line.
Kyle Connor, I mean, if he doesn't, they took him out of the lineup in that gold medal game. I mean, he is. You want to talk about a flat-out goal scorer
for sure.
You've got to have him in your lineup.
But what do you think of that combination, Boldy and Connor on the wing with big Tage Thompson in the middle?
I
don't think that'll be their line combination, but if hypothetically, it's a pretty good one.
Oh, sure.
Tage Thompson in the middle with those two speedy wingers.
And in case you're wondering, Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber, the top pair for Team USA.
Who's the fourth line?
Teammates.
Dylan Larkin?
The fourth line is Brock Nelson centering Larkin and JT Miller.
And again, this.
Yeah, I think JT Miller. Well, here's the problem. You know what? One problem I have with Team USA. I'm not a big Mike Sullivan fan.
Okay.
At all.
Why?
I think he gets out coached. I really do.
Okay.
And that's what scares me when they play Canada. I really like Canada's coaching staff.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me about that. And that has to be a factor. The team that can make those adjustments that are needed. And I think Canada wins that battle there.
I mean, we played Canada close in the Four Nations face-off, which is more or less, there's a few players here or there that are not there, more or less the same rosters, played them tight for 6 periods, 6.5 if you count the overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So there was never a blowout either way. They competed and defended. I mean, they only gave up 1 goal to McDavid in the first game, who just blew by a defender doing McDavid things. They kept him out of the net the rest of the time. So I think they're just as close as any and have just a good chance to win.
Well,
gold.
yeah, and I would concur with that, because I think Canada internally is saying, I wish we had just a piece of plywood in front of our net.
100%. Yeah. I totally agree. That's going to be their weakness. And if it's not, it's because Binnington plays out of his mind. He's shades of 2019. He's not that goaltender anymore. And they don't have a lot of depth. That's the one position. They're loaded everywhere else. But if you don't have goaltending, you don't have anything. And if he's the guy that has been there for St. Louis all this season, I don't know what what they hope he's going to resurrect there in Milan. But hopefully that doesn't happen. From an American
he's
standpoint.
Really a loose cannon. And,
big time. And you can get into his kitchen. Ask Ryan Hartman.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing he was talking about, first of all, those line combinations are all fine and good, but that's a big, you don't have Jack Hughes in the mix there.
I'd like to know who put those line combinations together, because I would like a conversation.
Senior writer Dan Rosen and columnist Nicholas J. Kotz. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
Regardless, they're just throwing it out there, and it's potential. They do have Hughes and Faber on the top line, or the top defensive pair. To me, if I'm putting together those pairs, I want those two together. How about you? Because I know that wasn't obviously Hughes wasn't an option in the Four Nations, and Faber played great with who was he with? Slavin? Was he?
Slavin,
yeah.
So obviously that was great. But the way Hughes and Faber have continued to develop chemistry, now they've played 25 games together. I keep them together.
I think you have to, from the standpoint of, you don't have time in a tournament like this to, say, hopefully this pair will get chemistry. I'm talking any pair, right? And to your point, now Faber and Hughes have played together, and they know what each other are going to do. And in a tournament like this, you need that. And so, yes, 100% they need to be playing together.
All right, let's take a break, and then when we continue, it'll be an awesome opportunity to talk to Danny Brooks, son of Herb Brooks, but obviously he's got some great stories from that 80s Olympic team, and it's on the front burner again because of that documentary on Netflix. Have you seen it yet, Patrick?
Yes.
So good.
It was.
I've watched it twice.
It was fantastic.
So good.
In fact, Danny and I talked the other day, And I'm like, let's save this stuff because,
yes.
Everything that went on and, the documentary itself was fabulous.
On a side note, I was Halvey watched it before me. Zach Halverson, the Halvey.
Hey, let's give a shout out to the Horn.
Always give a shout out to the Horn. But he was telling me that he watched it and he cried. I said, Halvey, you didn't watch it and cry.
He cries over, a NASCAR when they go around one lap.
When he watches Shinedown in person, exactly. He cries. But he told me that. I thought, okay, drama, probably not. But I see where he's coming from. It was a very emotional journey for a story that's been told 100 times. It was so good, start to finish. They did a great job, and right there in the middle of a lot of it was Danny Brooks and his sister. So we'll talk to him next, right here on Beyond the Pond.
I'm Jonas Burdin on the Minnesota Wild, and you're listening to Falness and Micheletti on Beyond the Pond right here on the Fan.
Hey, we want the best possible team that we can have. Historically speaking, the University of Minnesota or the state of Minnesota has produced an awful lot towards the Olympic and international programs.
Yes! 46 years later, and it still gives you goosebumps. That, of course, the voice of Al Michaels. Prior to that, Herb Brooks talking about the University of Minnesota and what a focal point they were for that 1980 U.S. Olympic team. All very well prominently featured there on that new Netflix series, that documentary, The Boys of 80. So good. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's been up for just over a week, and it was so good. And one of the guys featured on there, Pat's a good friend, Danny Brooks. Danny, Kevin Falness, Pat Micheletti, thanks for joining us on Beyond the Pond.
Happy to be here, guys.
Hey, Danny, I was telling Kevin before you came on that, you and I had a conversation, and, we could have talked for about 2 hours and still not got, scratched the surface of that team, the Gopher team, and the number of players, from the Gophers and your father and all of that. But, what a documentary, and you and your sister did just a fabulous job, telling the story about it.
Yeah, it was amazing, and Pat, the great thing, it just so happens that that documentary dropped last Friday, 8 days ago, and it just so happened we had to be in Lake Placid for a statue unveiling of my father at the arena. So that Friday night we got to watch it with a group, and it was, kind of going into it, we heard, it's kind of emotional. My mom had actually watched it before us, and she said, she was tearing up. I heard, David Silk was tearing up. And, it was phenomenal. I thought he did a great job. There were a lot of emotional parts. You didn't have to have a family member be part of the team to get emotional watching that. That's for sure.
And thinking back, and not a lot of people remember, what was going on in the world too, and what that team, it just united, all of the United States, and I don't know if the guys probably even thought about any of that stuff and what it meant.
They didn't know what was going on.
Young kids, right?
They had no idea what it was going on,
right?
How it was reaching people, right?
Yeah, and I know you were, you were there. You were 12 years old at the time.
12 years old.
Yeah. And what that must have felt like for you.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was, the thing I was looking forward to, I got to get 2.5 weeks off of school. I mean, that's what I was looking forward to most. And we went to New York City to start the journey. It was the first time that I was in New York, the city. So I watched the Soviet game at Madison Square Garden, and we took an Amtrak up to Lake Placid. Actually, I think we got left off in Plattsburgh, New York, which was a little bit further north.
Yep.
And then saw it all, and I just, the amazing thing, I tell people, that first game against the Swedes was a morning game the day before the opening ceremony. There was like a third capacity in that arena. No one was there. I mean, you could hear the players talk on the ice. You could hear the coaches on the other side of the rink talk. And then you fast forward, I mean, as the days progressed, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can just feel it. And, towards the end, it was just I've never felt, anything like it since. And that little town of Lake Placid, it's like downtown Hayward, Wisconsin, or like Nisswa. It's just amazing they hosted it. And it's just a special place. And when they unveiled the statue, one of the things I got to say a few words, and one of the things I said was, if the same teams, the same Russians, Swedes, Finns, even the Canadians, if they played, maybe the Olympics beforehand or the Olympics afterwards, in Innsbruck or in Sarajevo afterwards, I don't know if the miracle would have happened at any other place than Lake Placid. That's how special that place is.
Yeah, a perfect storm, no doubt. We're talking to Danny Brooks, son of legendary coach Herb Brooks, not only for the U.S. Olympic team, but also the Gophers and many other stops beyond that. As you and your sister are sitting at that dining room table and the producers are pulling these nuggets out of you, this is 46 years ago, Danny. Everything's been told. We know everything about how they come back and they win this a miraculous tournament. But are you thinking, man, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this again? But then in the hindsight, like you said, your mom watched it. We've watched it. Everyone, it's still great stories were yanked out of that thing. Are you surprised at how this whole documentary developed, considering this story's been told 100 times?
Yeah, that's a good point. When I first heard about it, I thought, really, what more is there really to say? The movie was phenomenal, and they did a documentary prior to that on HBO called "Do You Believe in Miracles," which stemmed the idea to make the movie. Everybody knows the story. Now that YouTube so many clips, you can watch all the games. I just I don't know what more they can say. And the producer of the show was the longtime producer of Brian Gumbel's Real Time Sports on HBO. And he said he wanted to get more behind the scenes, find stories that people didn't know and kind of make it a little bit more human interest. And man, he hit the ball out of the park with this one. I was just incredibly pleased that this thing came out the way it did. It's kind of blowing up. I'm getting calls from. Pat, I had my Mounds View AP jacket on in that one scene when they're talking president. So I'm hearing from my buddies that I played youth hockey with back in the 70s, at Mounds View. And so it's really blown up, and it couldn't happen at a better time.
Dan, you and I, go back a long, long way, hanging out in the locker room, and we get, obviously we got to know all of those guys very, very, very well, and. It's funny, and I know you probably feel the same way when I see or run into those, to these guys, Ricotta, Baker, McClanahan, Strobel, the Broughton. Those were our heroes, and I still feel it today that those guys are our heroes. And, I tell them that to their face, and they laugh at me, and, your career and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you guys are our heroes, and it's just it's just so happy that those guys get recognized in this documentary.
Yeah, they were. To me, it's not only their heroes. I kind of view them as they're like older brothers.
Yes,
you had older brothers. They're kind of like older brothers. They're they're I think they're probably 10, 12 years older than me, and that's kind of how I felt. In your family, Pat, the relationship my dad had with your family.
Oh my gosh.
It was beyond being a coach. Your brothers, Donnie and Joey, for all the listeners out there, they referred to my dad as a brother, a brother to you guys. And so I don't know. I just can't imagine my dad having the success of his career without the Micheletti family.
That's fantastic. Danny, when I watched that documentary, we've talked about there was a lot of emotional things that came out of it. I thought the letter your dad wrote to Ken Morrow, I don't know if he did that to everyone. I had never heard that story. The box of notes that you guys held on to, I thought that was cool. The conversation with Ralph Cox, the last guy cut in 1980 compared to your dad being cut in 1960. That
what
too.
A story.
Pulled at the heartstrings. A phenomenal story. Did any of these little nuggets that come out catch you by surprise?
I knew a lot of, the letter to the players, I kind of vaguely remember, I do know, I found out, years and years after, when my dad, cut Ralph Cox, how hard it was and how emotional it was. I think it was probably, if he was alive, he'd probably say it was the hardest thing he ever had to do. And interesting, a little bit of tidbit, being the last guy cut, how hard it was for Ralph Cox. So Billy Guerin was the last guy cut in the 1992 Olympics, and my dad was coaching the New York Rangers. And so Billy and my dad have a very, very special relationship because the first person Billy saw was my dad. My dad picked him up at the airport, before the Olympic team left, to the Olympic teams. And, Billy shares that same stat as being the last guy cut. So, yeah, it was great to hear and see Ralph in the documentary. He's been absolutely phenomenal in, telling his side of the story. He's kind of that 21st member of the team. I forgot Janny married the.
That's right.
Another great story.
I vaguely remember that. I thought that was awesome. I'm glad Janny got a lot of. This is Steve Janicek. I'm glad he got a lot of recognition in this documentary because he was so important in that on that team. It was nice to see Kenny Morrow. Kenny was kind of a strong, silent type on that team. Yeah. And over the years, it's always been Ruzioni, Robbie McClanahan, Jim Craig, a lot of these guys, in the forefront. It was great to see Kenny Morrow have a real strong presence in this documentary.
Yeah, and another guy that, kind of behind the scenes, Gary Smith, the trainer, athletic trainer for that team, and long time Gopher hockey trainer. He had, it was great to see him in there. And then you're looking and you see Dr. Nagabods. Yeah. When have you ever seen a doctor on the bench? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen.
He played a role, especially against the Soviets. He spoke the language, and he told my dad, because he heard, because Nagy was Latvian.
Yes.
Helmut Balderas on the team was also Latvian. And so he was telling my dad what these guys were saying, and he may have ran the stopwatch for, the shifts. And I believe he told my dad at the end, he said they're panicking. Like the last 2 minutes, he goes, they are now panicking.
Yeah.
But getting back to Gary Smith, when people say, ask me questions, hey, is there anything that, you can tell me that's not known? Or who should I talk to? I said, the guy that has the most stories about that team, hands down, was Gary Smith.
For sure.
He roomed with my dad all the way up. All the way up.
Yes.
And then it was good, Pat, it was good to see those clips of Warren Strelo.
Oh, yeah.
On the ice. And Warren was another one. Unfortunately, Warren passed years ago. And
Warren was a goalie coach.
Goalie coach and a confidant of my dad's. And
forever.
Integral in the team. Oh,
yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Awesome stuff. Let me ask you about your dad, the father. I mean, we know the side of him that we see as the head coach and the guy that's running Herbies and drilling these guys into the ground after they lost that first game. But off the ice, what do you remember most when you think about your dad, the father, not the coach, but my dad, Herb Brooks?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was. People thought that he was, because of the way he coached, he was. He had a bullwhip in our household and was like making me, run hills or something. But, my dad was a tireless worker. So he wasn't, during those Gopher years and that Olympic year, he was gone a lot. So I didn't get to see him a lot. I always, my Mounds View youth hockey coach, I saw more, of him than my own father doing those years, because he was that team was gone. The Gophers were gone. And if he was home, he was recruiting us at high school games and junior games, what have you. And then when he was home, especially during that 80 season, he was kind of in his own mind. He was so committed and so dialed that I didn't really get to spend time with him more until I was in the high school and college years. So, he didn't get a chance to go to a lot of my games. But, the good news, when we were in New York, I got to see a little bit more of him when he coached the Rangers. And then when I played college hockey, he, was able to, be a part of, my career there. But yeah, he was a father. He wasn't, he wasn't the slave driver he was, to the coach. Every once in a while, you could kind of tell the coaching, side came out of him versus the father side. But I was blessed. I had a great childhood.
Yeah, well, remember when he took over the University of Minnesota, the program was reeling. It was not in a good place, and he had a ton of work to do. And the first time I met him, I remember him coming to our little tiny house in Hibbing, and he actually, when he recruited my brother, Joe, to start with, he actually said, Joe, I want you to leave the room. And of course, I stayed in the room, right? I'm just listening. I gotta hear what's going on.
That's you, Pat. That's you, Pat.
Right. I need info, right? Yeah. But he wanted to talk to my parents first and really describe who he was and what his, what he wanted and how he was going to, implement Joe at the U. And it was, it was just like, wow, this is unbelievable, but that was kind of the start of that.
Well, Pat, the amazing thing is back then, it was, so what I tell people, that team was so young, the Olympic team was so young, and they're a bunch of kids. My dad was 41, 42 years old. So the amazing thing, he's 16 years younger than I am now.
Yeah, that's
crazy. And then you
crazy.
go back to when he was recruiting Joey. He was in his early 30s.
That's right. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I can't.
Insane.
I never thought about that.
When he was sitting in that living room recruiting Joe.
Wow. Danny, you think about the history of the state of hockey. So many great names have come through here. And of all those people, there's one statue in and around Grand Casino Arena, and it's your father. And I think it's pretty cool that that's there. I think about it every time I drive by that statue, every time I walk by it. Can't imagine what it's like to be you when you see that anytime you come down for a game. How does it compare to the one that you saw unveiled out in Lake Placid?
It's the exact same thing, only a little bit smaller. And the artist that did the one in Lake Placid is from Minnesota. I didn't do the due diligence to find out if it was the same sculptor. But the amazing thing, guys, once we had this big ceremony at the arena Lake Placid, they unveiled the statue. Jack O'Callaghan was there. He spoke. I got to spoke. It was on TV, local TV. The mayor was there. The local, the state congressman was there. It's a huge deal. But there's a Can-Am youth tournament going on. There's probably like 20, 30 teams playing. As soon as they unveiled the statue, 5 minutes later, the championship team of this Can-Am tournament, they all ran in front of the statue and they all had their pictures taken. And it was just like serendipity. It was just perfect. It was perfect. So I'm glad that statue is there because it's like I said earlier, it's Lake Placid is such a special place. If the listeners out there haven't had a chance to go there, you got to make the effort to get there.
I want to leave you on this note. What can you tell us about the Herb Brooks Foundation?
Well, it's been around for a long time. We're a giving organization. For a long time, we're associated with the National Sports Center. We had a lot of programs that we ran. Now we're more of a giving organization. A big part of that is the Herb Brooks Award. I think, I don't know how many numbers, 4 Herb Brooks Award winners every year since 2004. It's a special award that we give money to those individuals for their schooling and giving money into their communities. So every year we have a golf tournament. This year it's at Delwood. Pat has played in the past.
Yep.
It's August 3rd, and it's just it's a great organization that I'm happy to be a part of.
Awesome stuff. HerbBrooksFoundation.com. Danny, thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
this was an awesome trip down memory lane.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, take care, Danny. Yep, you bet.
There you go. Danny Brooks. So you've known him for a long time,
yeah,
Patrick.
He and I used to run around that locker room, and of course I was able to he was younger, but his dad's a coach.
Yeah. I think that the story, and I've heard you tell that story before about Herbie coming into your house there and having to recruit Joe. To me, that's one of those things that what a memory that is.
Yeah, and I didn't, Danny brought up a good point, how young Herbie was at the time. And,
crazy.
To come in and, get that relationship. I mean, my father and Herbie were so tight. And Herbie used to just call my dad for advice, about just life things. And, very, very special man to our family.
Good stuff, man. That was fantastic. And especially, I'm sure every 4 years he is bothered about the U.S. Olympics, but it was special this year for no other reason. That documentary was so good. And like I said, I have watched it twice.
I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great stories in there. And like he said, like when I think of Ken Morrow, I think of pretty quiet, pretty reserved.
For sure.
He was so good in this documentary. And he was pulling out stories and talking about and Jim Craig talking about his mom and her passing and how much it meant to his dad. The big smile he had on his face as they're talking about that gold medal. Man, it was just so good start to finish.
And the guys really and Mark Johnson was the best player on that team.
Yep.
There's no doubt. There was no doubt before. But for the guys to come out later and just matter-of-factly saying, and our best player, Mark Johnson. And, but that was deservedly so, because he was, they called him Magic, and he was that on the ice for Team USA and the Wisconsin Badgers.
Sad news here that I heard lately within the last week or so. I guess it's been happening for about a month. Craig Patrick, also
oh my gosh,
very much prominently featured. Assistant coach to Herb Brooks in 1980. You saw him in this documentary. Apparently suffered a serious stroke about a month ago. He's battling his way back.
I played under him on a U.S. team prior to the 1988 Olympics. And he was the coach, him and Tim Taylor. And you want to talk about a humble, genuinely great person. It's Craig Patrick, and, our prayers go out to him. Former general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
From 1989 to 2006, drafted guys like Fleury, Malkin, Crosby, and also won a cup in 1991 and 1992.
Yeah, just a wonderful one. And so our prayers are out to Craig.
All right, very good. Let's take a break, and then when we continue, we'll get our youth hockey report from our guy, Tony Scott. Plus, buckle up. Before the end of the show, we've got...
Yeah. I got to turn my mic on. Rumor has it he's unsure of the questions to ask today.
I've sensed hashed a game plan, so I think I know where we're going.
All right, I can't wait. That's something to look forward to in the next 40 minutes. We also have Brett Blakemore's Breakaways on Beyond the Pond.
This is Kevin Gorg, and I'll give you hundreds of reasons to listen to Micheletti.
Whoa.
Hundreds. It's Beyond the Pond.
One of our favorite moments of each and every Beyond the Pond, an opportunity to talk to Tony Scott at the Youth Hockey Hub, and Pat Micheletti will start us off. Good morning, Tony.
Hi, Tony. How are
you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm outside the rink at Andover Community Center for a section semi between Duluth and Andover on the girls' side.
Okay. Well, before we get to that, how are my Blue Jackets doing?
They're playing Bye this week, BYE. I think they're going to do well against those guys. They beat Bemidji 4-3 at Bemidji this week.
On the road.
A slow week for the Jackets.
Yeah, that's all right. They need a little rest heading into the playoffs, which is right around the corner, right?
Yes, and they need a little discipline when they get out on the ice, if you know what I mean.
Nah.
Yeah. Oh, they've got a little of that Micheletti in them, I take it. Well, we'll get back.
I'm serious. If they stay out of the box, they're going to win the state championship. There's no better team 5-on-5. I think A or AA. They're that good.
All right. Well, we'll get back to the boys' high school hockey scene in a second. You said you're in Andover. You got the girls' sections going on?
Yeah, it's a big week. There's 20-plus section semis going on today, so a lot of seasons are going to end for some girls here today. And then, obviously, next week you got all the section finals. I'll be in Bemidji and East Grand Forks for the 8A and 8AA state tournament section finals this week. So it should be a fun week for me and the rest of our staff. That'll be at all 16 of the girls' section finals all over Minnesota.
Outstanding. And on the youth scene today?
We're up in. I got a guy up in East Grand Forks today watching the North-South Challenge. It's really easy. It's great. There's 10 top 10 teams all in the same building, 5 PBAA and 5A. There's 5 PB Bantam A. On the Bantam AA, you got Moorhead playing Woodbury, 1 versus 3 in the state. I heard Woodbury's a little banged up, but it should be a good matchup at 2 o'clock today.
That should be a lot of fun. You mentioned what's going on up there in Andover. What else is going on the girls' side?
Well, last night I got a chance to ref number 1 Edina and number 2 Hutchinson. This is the best part. Zach Parisi's the coach, and Edina was the grinder team. They didn't have like a superstar on their team, and Hutchinson had all these superstars, and the Zach Parisi team grinded it out and won 3-2 in a really physical affair. In a game where we called very few penalties. It was fun to watch the girls really get after it.
Did he get on you at all?
That's what I was going to. I want to know, is he an animated coach there? Are his hands in his pockets? Well, what kind of a coach is Zach Parisi when you watch him behind the bench?
This is going to be fun to talk about. So early last year, we really got into it. He was way more into it. After last night's game, he talked to us and said, hey, I really appreciate letting the kids play it and get after it. It was a 1-hour scrimmage, non-conference scrimmage. So you don't want to waste your time trucking girls back and forth between the penalty boxes. Just kind of let them play a little bit, and I think Zach appreciated it. And to watch him kind of grow, I'm going to throw this out there. I've reffed him a few times. I've also reffed Keith Ballard's crew a couple times too. These guys are retired. They don't have to pour hours and hours and hours in to not just their kids' teams, but to the association in general. Hats off to Keith and Zach, in my opinion.
Awesome. You mentioned some of the stuff going on the girls' side. Tell us more on the section play, especially on the high school side of things.
Well, it's going to be awesome. There's a lot of good teams going at it today. I'm going to be at this Andover-Duluth game, but we're going to be all over the state this week. The best part is these section finals are not local. We got to go everywhere. We go to St. Peter, like I said, East Grand Forks, downtown Minneapolis. Girls hockey is at its best this week on the high school stage, in my opinion. Just so much tension and so many seasons ending and so many kids realizing their dreams.
Great. And I'm sure this is also a big day on the boys' side. I'll tell you, Tony, I got a chance. I was just talking to Pat a little bit off the air about St. Louis Park, Benilde, St. Margaret earlier this week at the Rec Center in St. Louis Park. Hell of a hockey game, 2-2 tie. They go to overtime. The Park kid had to make like 50 saves. The hockey is really starting to ratchet up for everyone. And I'm sure that's the case today on the boys' side that you're going to be keeping track of.
Yeah, so funny you should say that. I got a text from our photographer. She was at the game, and she just kept texting me, goes, this SLP team is legit. They're for real. They're so fun to watch.
They can be.
She became an SLP fan in an hour and a half, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, well, I exchanged text messages with Ken Pauley before the game. He says, it really doesn't matter when these two teams play. It's, like any of those rivalries that you talk about. They both share the Rec Center in St. Louis Park, and it's a battle every time, no matter where they are in the standings, and that certainly was the case earlier this week.
Those shared facility rivalries are legit. Like Park Cottage Grove and Eastridge share the same rink. White Bear and Mounds View and Gentry all share the same rink. You got Park and Benilde. It's really cool when those two teams get together in any of those scenarios. It's a lot of fun. Could you imagine if Roseau and Warroad shared the same rink? That would be nutty. It'd be even nuttier.
That'd be great. What are some of the matchups you're looking for on the boys' side today?
Well, Moorhead came down. They beat Elk River last night. They're number 2 in the state. They play Rogers, and Rogers is secretly one of the best teams in the state. Just the problem is they're 5th in the state. The other 4 really haven't lost much. So they've been creeping up the rankings slowly, quietly, and now they're in the same section as Edina. So if you really want to go watch one of the best teams in the state, 2 teams in the state today, watch Rogers and Moorhead 3 o'clock over at Rogers High School.
All right, real quick, anything else going on off the ice that you're going to keeping track of?
Yeah, it's a bit. Sunday's hugely busy for us, and we're not running a tournament, but we have 6 girls in the office tomorrow for Player of the Year Media Day, and that'll be announced on Thursday. And then our boys podcast before that will be announcing our 10 Mr. Hockey finalists, who we think will be the top 10 Mr. Hockey finalists for the season. So busy weekend, no tournaments, but still really busy for the boys and girls here at YHH.
Awesome stuff. I ask you this every week. I'll ask you again. If I go over to youthhockeyhub.com and check out your fine work, what am I going to find?
You're going to find 6 podcasts every week. You're going to find computerized rankings for all youth levels. You're going to find all the information you're going to need about youth hockey and high school hockey in Minnesota.
Hey, what did I see? This flashed before me, and it just hit me now. I should have asked you about it in advance. But you guys are doing some work with Kinger now. What's the partnership here?
Yeah, his name is John King, but we all like to call him Kinger. Kinger and his partner Tom Garrity and I got together, and we're going to be producing some of the best new content for high school hockey in Minnesota. Just imagine what they do from a creativity perspective and what we do from a horsepower perspective. You mash those two together, and some good things are going to happen.
That is awesome. When I saw that, the joint collaboration, whatever you want to call it, I think it's wonderful.
3 great minds.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ego in one room. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my gosh.
I did not. Don't lump me in with him, all right?
No, don't blame Pat. You can still keep talking about him.
I don't want you on my bad side, on your bad side. Me on your bad side, Tony.
It's funny when you say ego, man. I had to bite my tongue so hard on that one, Kevin.
I know. All right, Tony, go get him. Keep busy today, and we'll talk again next week about this time.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
There we go. Tony Scott, our weekly report from the Youth Hockey Hub. We got to squeeze in a break because we want to leave as much time as possible.
Breakaway.
For Brett Blakemore's Breakaways. Next on Beyond the Pond.
This is Wild head coach John Hines, and you're listening to Beyond the Pond with Falness and Micheletti on KFAN.
Tomorrow, The Fan.
United States with numbers. Here's Murphy. Murphy slots it across. Score! Beautiful setup from Murphy to Heisey. 2-0. Team USA.
Part of the excitement over there in Milan. Update now, USA with a 4-0 lead over Finland late in regulation, cruising to a victory, outshooting them by, I think, like a 3-1 margin, Patrick. And we talked about this last week with Michael Russo. The Americans on the women's side, without a doubt, the hands-down favorite to win this thing.
Didn't you tell me that they have never lost to Finland?
I did not tell you. You told me, I believe.
Oh, I thought you told me.
I did not.
But nonetheless, I don't think
Or maybe it was Alex that said it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, Alex. Well, it's not surprising, but yeah, this team is, boy.
Loaded, and they dominated the rivalry series or whatever with Canada, who you would think would be their number one rival. So I think it would be a pretty decent upset if the Americans don't come away
win the gold.
And I think it should be a gold. On the men's side, of course, the preliminaries don't start until February 11th. That runs through the 15th. The qualifiers are on the 17th. And then the gold medal will be awarded on February 22nd. The women will get the gold on February 19th.
How many prelim games do they play?
They play Latvia on the 12th at 2:10 here local time. They got Denmark on the 14th, Germany on the 15th. So that's the three they play on that round robin situation. So
3 games and then the medal round.
And then the medal round. Whew. The U.S. has won gold in 60 and 1980, of course. 8 silver medals, 0 medals since 2010.
Ooh.
That's a long time coming. And I know it hasn't been the same, certainly since 1980. And then the last couple of Olympics without the NHL involved. But they're due. It's time.
Due. Yeah.
It's time.
And it's going to be fabulous because it's more than, as we've talked about, Kevin, more than Canada and the U.S. Swedes, Finns, Czechs, Slovakia. It's going to be a great Olympic.
We'll get to Brett here in one more second,
Brett.
Brett.
Right.
Because we got that, and I just want to keep that hanging in the balance. It's coming up here in a second. My favorite Olympics in recent history, 1980 is 46 years gone past. The one in 2010 at Vancouver, when Parisi ties it late in regulation, Sidney Crosby, the golden goal in overtime. To me, that's the best one that I can remember
really good.
in recent history.
Canada was low. The U.S. had a great team, too. 2 great teams, but boy, if you look back on that Canadian team, oh my gosh, were they loaded.
I went back and I looked at Ryan Miller was the top player for Team USA. He won the tournament MVP, even though they lost. Pavel Dimitra was involved for Slovakia, led the tournament with 10 points. And think about this. Jonathan Taves at the time was 21. Drew Doughty was 20. That's just a couple of the names. 2010, that must have meant Crosby must have been 23 if he was drafted in 2005.
Yeah, right.
So 5 years after that, Ovechkin in that tournament. I assume the Russians were involved. What else I didn't realize, watching some of the highlights, Jacques Lemaire was on the bench for the Canada team.
Wow.
I had forgotten about that. Working under Mike Babcock and alongside Lindy Ruff and Ken Hitchcock. Sidney Crosby scores the goal. They go back to the bench, and Jacques Lemaire's there celebrating.
Now you look at that coaching staff. My Lord.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So I just thought that was a cool memory. You know what else is cool? Brett Blakemore's Breakaways.
It's time for Brett Blakemore's Breakaway.
Here's a break. Kaprizov in alone. Nobody going to catch him. Kaprizov score!
And now, Blakemore's Breakaway.
Text line already blowing up, 64686. Everyone's on the edge of their seat. What is he coming up with this week? I can't wait to find out.
He had a whole week, and I think he put it together.
I actually had to give him a hug last week. In the commercial break, I didn't have to, but I could tell he was mad. He didn't like. And here's the best part. So he brings up this thing: which mascot would win, Crunch versus Norty? So I'm listening the next day. Him and Max did an hour on that, ripping us because we couldn't get any traction under it.
Did he rip us?
Us. He ripped us on worst case scenario.
And guess what? The texters loved it. They thought it was fantastic.
And we didn't even rip him.
No.
We just asked who,
Count Chocula or what? Yeah. Captain Crunch.
I almost, when you put out the show tweet, I almost put out a GIF replying to it of Captain Crunch. I was like, that's just going to leave it alone.
Yeah,
not even
probably a good idea. But I did.
Hey,
I gave you a hug.
So tell me why you ripped us. I mean,
because me and Max
you're part of the show, and you're ripping the guys you work with.
Max did an hour. Well, that's what we do.
They did an hour on it.
We did an hour on it, and we couldn't get 2 minutes out of it on Beyond the Pond.
So what did you guys come up with? Who would win in this fictional fight between Nordy and Crunch?
Well, they like Crunch a lot. Then we open it up to all of pro sports in Minnesota. Then you got to talk about Victor Viking.
I just saw the whites of Pat's eyes as they rolled to the back of his head as we revisit
this. Why. I wasn't even going to bring it up. But anyway.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, well, because I happened to be listening on Sunday. I never miss a show of worst case scenario. And not only did we get ripped, but then you guys actually did an hour on which mascot would kick some serious ass.
And the response was good. So,
all right, carry on.
Not from Pat. I do want to talk to you, Pat, though, and kind of give you a chance to not be humble, because watching the Olympics are in full swing. You've got the U.S. women's team, which we're going to get to in a little bit, kicking ass against a recovering, sick Finnish team who the coach said, we'll play with 5 players to play the Americans. We don't care.
Yeah.
I think that was a direct quote. But I was just thinking back to the Miracle and the documentary. If you were born 5 years earlier,
yep,
you just come off scoring 96 points in 44 games. Have you ever thought about that? Like, what if Pat Micheletti was born 5 years early? Do you think you crack the team and or contribute?
Well, probably not that team, but I will tell you in
why not? Why not that team?
I don't know. I don't know. If you would
have been that age,
they had. I don't think it was really. I wasn't the greatest skater speed wise, and I think Herbie wanted a really fast team, and so probably not. I will tell you though, the 1988 team. That was the first year they allowed professionals to play in '88. And leading up to that, I was asked to join in training camp with the North Stars. The Olympic team, Dave Peterson, coach, asked the North Stars if they could take me instead of I was going to be sent down to the American League.
Yeah.
And the North Stars wouldn't let me go, or else I would have been part of that '88 Olympic team.
Is that a Louis thing?
Which is fine. Yeah, he was a GM at the time, and. And I understood, because I would have been with them pretty much, I would have missed that year.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's
Next time Louis on with Bump, I'm going to rip him for that. For not letting you go to the Olympics.
No, he probably doesn't even remember.
Oh, I bet he does.
I think he does.
He remembers everything.
He's a tack.
Yeah. So anyway, but that actually ended up helping me. Long story short, I know no one cares, but that allowed me to play. If I would have played on the U.S. team, I would have never been able to play on the Italian national team.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helped me to a certain degree, because I was able to play on the national team, get hurt 5 days before the 92 games, which knocked me out of the Olympics there. I wasn't meant to play in the Olympics.
I guess not. But it's still your time over there in Italy. I've heard you talk briefly about that.
The best ever.
Amazing.
The best ever.
Yeah, I hear people that talk about going overseas and playing for these different locations, and it's fantastic. For you, it has to have special meaning with the Italian heritage and all that.
Yeah, it was wonderful, and that was at a time where the Italian League was really good. I mean, you want to talk about Olympians over there? Yari Curry, Mark Johnson came over. Mark Pavlich played over there. It was really good league.
Brett?
We'll go here. The food for thought. If you're born 5 years earlier,
good question. I like it.
The women's Olympic team. We heard Taylor.
Can I ask, if you were a cartoon, would you be able to beat up Captain Crunch? I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. Go ahead.
That's a tough one.
If you're a cartoon. Sorry, go ahead, Brett.
The women's Olympic team, they're kicking ass. I believe they're still up 4-0.
They're up 4-0 with 6:47 left to go in regulation, out shooting them 43-10.
I was looking over the roster. I was trying to figure out what number Heisey is, as she is one of us, loves the fan, been here all the time. And when I was looking at the roster, I was like, there's a lot of Frost players. But then there's 5 Frost players. There's 4 Badgers on the team. You've got a bunch of NCAA kids as well as the pros, and there's a mix just because that's how the player base is operating right now, which led me back to a text that I got during Barrero. Now, I like this texter for the record. He sends in good stuff, but I had to search back. It was Thursday, and he said, how much longer do you think this NHLers in the Olympics thing will continue? I love the Olympics and all, but how much longer can these NHLers keep doing this? All the money and injury potential hardly seems worth it. Be pretty cool to see a bunch of 18-year-olds in there again. Olympics were a lot more interesting when all the athletes were amateurs.
No.
I will say this. I do have some concern about the NHL.
He follows it up with saying, I guess I'm turning into an old guy.
Well,
that was his next text.
Just think of this year in the schedule and, the potential for injury going into the play.
Yep.
I don't want it to go away, trust me.
Yep. But I get what you're saying. From a business standpoint, from an NHL perspective, and from, let's say, a Craig Leopold perspective or an owner's perspective, it makes no sense to be involved in this tournament from a business aspect, considering what you're putting on the line.
Yeah.
But on a global aspect, what this does for the game and growing the game, and the players want it, by the way. And you can't have everything that you want from an NHL side and the business aspect. This is something that really means a lot to these guys.
It does.
And we're going to see it on display when they hit the ice February 11th, 12th, and up to until they give the gold on the 22nd or whatever date that is. We saw it on the Four Nations. We see it anytime the NHL is involved. This means something to these guys. And I think it would be a shame. I get it. 1980 is never going to happen again. It's never going to be to that level. No matter how bad you want it to go back in time, enjoy it. This best on best tournament is fantastic, and these guys live and breathe it. It's going to be great. So as much as the past was awesome, that's never going to happen again. Enjoy the Olympics every time you get the NHL involved.
Well, I'm here to tell you, and this is what I texted back, that's what the World Juniors are for. When you want to see those 18-year-old amateurs and who's the best young and up-and-coming stars, that's what the World Juniors is for. But to me, it's more interesting if they were amateurs. I want to know who the best of the best is and what country has the best hockey players, and you find out in this 2-week period. So as much as I love the texter and he gives good stuff, I just disagree with that particular opinion. For a quick text. First of all, on-air production meaning you need to tell me exactly what time to be out. Second of all, another if Brett was born 5 years later, his name would be Aaron. Good point. Instead of being named after Brett Favre, he'd be named after Aaron Rodgers. That's good.
Or way back, John Hadel.
Bart.
I have an Uncle Bart.
I bet you do.
Yeah,
you have an Uncle John? You probably don't even remember who John Hadel is, do you?
I don't remember that name either.
No.
All right, one more.
Every time we do a show during playoffs, we have to predict every series, and we have to keep track of who. We're not going to go game for game, but give me your medals at the end of the Olympics for the men's ice hockey competition. Your gold, your silver, your bronze. Kev?
Pat, my heart tells me the Americans. Now, I don't know if my brain follows that because of how good Canada is. But again, they don't have the goaltending the Americans do. So if it comes down to those two teams, I put the Americans over the Canadians for that simple fact.
That's not the question he asked.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
Who
wants your top three?
Who's winning bronze? Who's winning silver? Who's winning gold?
Well, okay. If I'm going to go Americans, Canadians, Swedes. I mean, that would be by chalk, most likely. So that's what I'm going.
Americans
gold,
winning gold,
silver, bronze.
I'm going Swedes, Americans, Canada.
There you go. I can see that. Yeah. That's not.
Now I'm going to get ripped because I want the Americans to win.
I do too.
I just have some question marks.
It has been way too long, 1980, since the last time they won gold. They haven't even medaled since 2010.
Bad question to end on because now
you're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
Good. Fire at all bullets at Mr. Pat Micheletti, at Pat Mick, 2626 for throwing the Americans under the bus. Still holding it against Lou Nanny for not letting him go to the Olympics.
Okay.
Come on, Luigi.
I got to get out of here.
Go get him. Hey, good luck tonight, and enjoy the festivities down at the U of M.
I'll talk to you from South Bend.
I look forward to it. That'll be next week. You and Wally Shaver. That'll be great. Thanks to Alex for bringing you in. Brett, great job on Brett Blakemore's breakaways. We had a blast with that as well.
I still think it's Count Chocula.
Well, Chocula.
Chocula?
Yeah,
that's right. See, I don't even know. I see how much I pay attention.
Talk to you next week on Beyond the Pond.
The best place to go for all your Minnesota Wild audio needs is the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. Everything Minnesota Wild related, including highlights, press conferences, players, coaches, general managers, and more. It's available on the official Minnesota Wild podcast presented by Acrisure. It's all just a click away at wild.com/podcast.